Welcome.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Mandi.
How are you this evening?
I am one with Jesus,
Are you filled with the Spirit of the Lord
with his light and grace.
and Holy Ghost?
Yeah, I'm filled with the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, girl. Welcome to our podcast, everyone.
Welcome to Family Home Evening, Bad Mormons.
We are here telling you stories about mostly stupid shit we've done, but we also really like to poke fun at religion,
Yes,
Republicans.
100%.
What's another thing that starts with R? Racists.
Oh, yeah, racist.
Perfect.
There it is.
So if you're interested in those things, stick around, why don't you, and let us entertain your pants off.
While we dance off.
We're not dancing, we're drinking.
That's true. Cheers. What are you drinking? Oh, I'll tell you what we're drinking. We're drinking a nice Rodney Strong 2018, which I thought was really delicious when I drank it the other day, but we just finished a really nice bottle, which makes this taste like garbage.
Yeah, we got a bottle on sale of Freemark Abbey from Napa. It was a 2014, and it was really delightful. We took it to our new favorite. Well, I don't want to say it's our
multiple
favorite.
favorites.
We're swingers.
Yeah, we are.
We love Italian restaurants, and we've got this one going in San Juan Capistrano that we really like called Il Sol Agave. Not just because the wait staff is extremely attractive and hook us up with free shit,
Super personable.
but their food's delicious.
I'm pretty sure they only they didn't charge us for a corkage fee, and I'm pretty sure it's because we left them a Yelp review last time that told them that they were very good looking. It's like, did I mention handsome and some really great food? Thanks for being you guys.
So that's our secret, world. If you want to get the hookup at your favorite restaurant, just leave them a glowing Yelp review. Be a good tipper, and tell them that they're attractive and hint at the fact that you may want to sleep with them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And for those playing the Bad Mormon drinking game, that means take a drink.
I almost forgot. What's the rules of the drinking game?
Can't remember. I only just remembered that we had one. We should talk about it more often to remind people that there is an unofficial Bad Mormons drinking game anymore. It's just whatever we say all the time, right?
Exactly, right, and 1,000%. That's pretty much it.
I also say 100% a lot.
Or 100%.
Whatever. Sometimes I like to say, well, 92% of the time. I like to say percents.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Hey, did you hear that we got a new patron?
No.
Welcome, Cherie, to the Patreon
Cherie.
Inner Circle, motherfucker.
Welcome to all the fun shit.
We're really glad you're here, and I can't wait for you to see all the embarrassing videos we post only for you guys. So welcome. We're so
You'll
happy.
Get first dibs on buying my ridiculously expensive art.
Oh, I cut that from the last episode.
Did you?
Nobody
Okay.
knows what you're talking about.
JK.
You know what? That might be just
Spoiler.
an easy segue into some cool shit.
All right. Game on. So well, why don't you tell them?
Okay, so as you know, listener, we've just launched a new merch store with some official merch, t-shirts, laptop cases, cell phones, gigantic wall tapestries, anyone?
Pillowcases, perhaps?
Decorative pillows, yes. So we've decided we're going to just let the merch professionals handle the merch, but we're still going to have merch available on our website of the handcrafted, handmade variety.
I've made some weird jewelry pendants. We're working on some actual artwork.
We paint paintings.
I paint over other people's paintings.
We do some cool shit. So we're still gonna continue to offer you guys our handmade fun stuff on the website, and we're gonna let T Public, who's now officially launched our merch store. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. It's on our link tree, which is on all of our social media, or you can get to it from our website as well. But if you'd like to buy some artwork, we're gonna start our paintings at between the $500,000 to $1 million range.
Correct.
So if you're interested in that, jump on in and check it out.
And maybe we might have a 99% sale one of these days. We don't know. We don't know. It depends.
Just keep checking back.
Yeah, check back often. And for those who don't know what the website is, it is FHEBadMormons.com.
That's for family home evening, which we're doing right now.
So welcome to our lovely home.
As a family in the nighttime.
I've been watching a lot of Big Love lately, which I had never watched. Okay, so I was on a plane, tried watching some movies, but it kept like glitching out on me. And I was like, well, maybe the TV will work better than the movies or whatever, because you can just download an app, right, and watch it on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I am not just recently. I always have a love affair with Bill Paxton. I love the man. He's just the fucking coolest, and I'm so sad that he died a couple years ago. And my heart aches for him. Anyways, I was like, I never watched that Big Love, and it's all about polygamists. Like, why did I never watch that? So I'm like, I'll watch the pilot. Then I watched 3 episodes because it was a 5-hour flight, and I was like, I am hooked on this shit.
That show's
and
fucking great.
It's really great. I mean, there's a lot of Bill Paxton ass in it, which I think of him more like my dad and less like I want to bang him, so it's a little weird, especially in that character. So I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all. There's a lot of banging going on.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of wives. You gotta have a lot of kids.
Bang. You got to bang. But I have been brought back. Even though I didn't really live in a Mormon household like as much as you did, because Mom was Wiccan for a while or whatever, and I mainly lived with her, and Mandi lived with Dad mostly. But things like "good night," like feel like I'm still "good night," and no, it's not like, how would you say it? Like
it's like,
like
how we would say
Jesus Christ,
fucking Christ.
Okay, they're like
say good night.
Like, I was just like, oh my God,
Mormon swears
so good. Oh my heck,
Gall darn it.
Gall darn it.
But you know what Dad used to say, which was totally rebellious outside the norm Mormon swear?
Ooh, go on.
He used to say all the time, he'd say, Judas Priest.
That's so great.
Yeah. Dad, what a rebel.
He's a loner, a rebel. I like him a lot. It's great.
Hey, I'm glad that you're watching Big Love. I enjoy jumping in and watching episodes with you when I get home from work. And I love that show very much. I think it's pretty darn accurate from what I remember.
Pretty heckin' accurate.
That's
not a thing.
I think that's more of a recent thing coming from like the Bay Area. Everything was hella, and then hecka came from that. It's probably 20 years ago now. Anyways, I'm dating myself. I don't want to skip completely over Mormon Corner.
Oh, no. I would not care to do that either, because I see the book is out and I fucking love it.
So, listener, just in case you've missed the last few episodes, we got some fan mail, and one of our listeners sent us this book called Woman, which is written by 15 men whose names take up the majority of the cover space. The title of the book, Woman, is more of an afterthought. So last week I read you some excerpts from President fill in the blank about Satan and the women's place.
It's just a sacrifice for her family and shit.
Oh,
right.
I remember the thing that stuck out to me was her main responsibility was partnering with God to bring God's spirit children to the world. And that Satan was trying to get in the way of that by providing things like speedy transportation and pornography.
And God knows internet wasn't out yet, so who even knows?
So that was fun. I highly recommend you listen to last week's if you didn't already. Right. This week I haven't really underlined or read ahead because I just think it's fun to just do it organically. But this chapter is called Magic Aplenty, which I was like, that sounds right up my alley. Written by Elder Marion Hanks. So he has something to say
Are
about
yours not
magic.
A chick? Marion?
No, it's a man. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
why would they let a woman write?
They don't know how to spell.
God didn't outline writing as a woman's duty, okay?
Just wanted to make sure, didn't want to screw up our fill in the blank.
Okay, so let me just read you a little bit of Magic Aplenty. So, first paragraph is, I'm going to skip over it. It's basically this guy who has a friend who's an American Indian, and he talks about how he's friends with an Indian. It's racist. Okay, occasionally I've thought of this man and his experience as I've talked with various single adults in the church. While there are those among them who feel much more attention and consideration should be given them, there are others who would prefer that single adults not be separated from the rest of the community and made to feel that they are exceptional and need special attention. So like the singles ward and the singles events and stuff. The fact is, however, the role of single men and women brings additional challenges, and that is especially true for single women in the church. Some of the special problems for the single woman who is a faithful believer in the gospel of Jesus Christ are reflected in the following brief extracts from statements made by choice Latter-day Saint women of various circumstances. So one woman says, being 32 and not married has some aspects of pain known only to the single Mormon woman. As I begin to write this, I am crying. My dreams seem so unattainable. But the dreams are not unusual or grandiose. They seem so simple in my mind. I hunger to be happily married. Where do I go with these dreams? Maybe it's this need to, quote, be lovable that becomes the pain inside us. In the mind of society, there must be a reason when one's not married. What is the flaw in me? A lady who's widowed adds, it is better for us, I think, than for the divorced or never married. Oh, God. We have loved and been loved. And though we become desperately lonely for the one who is gone, we feel married still, and still loved as we continue to love. That's dark. That's dark as fuck.
There's so much to unpack there.
Wow.
I feel bad for these people.
At least somebody loved me once, and so
God forbid. Okay. God forbid no one ever loved. I don't need anyone to love me again because I feel like I'm married, so in my brain it makes it okay.
I feel like I was attractive enough for somebody to deem me worthy once, so I can die now. Hold on, I need to drink this.
1,000%.
Drink. Okay, here's more. Of the problems of a divorced woman, one has said, divorced Mormons often become alienated from the church entirely. For those who cling vigorously to the source of blessings rather than cutting themselves off, there is yet the sometimes present problem of uneasy fellow members who regard divorced people as having something wrong with them. Perhaps something contagious, like a disease. That same excerpt was in last week's.
I was
in a completely different chapter.
I thought maybe you read this
No.
twice, maybe.
This is totally different, but I guess they're
quoting themselves.
Their quote, they feel like this quote was so powerful that they had to put it into multiple chapters, basically saying there's something wrong with divorced Mormons and they're contagious and people hate them.
And God forbid.
So that's funny that I'm literally just picking this at random. I wonder how many times that's in this book. To these sobering comments, is added one from an unexpected source. A faithful Latter-day Saint who married out of the church with hopes for a future she no longer feels will come to pass expresses a viewpoint that may surprise some. She writes about a particular kind of singleness.
Lesbian.
I have always been a member of the church and was active. I did not miss a meeting. I held 3 jobs at the time, etc. Up to the very day of my marriage. I married a Catholic. Go ahead and wince. I'm still kind of shocked myself at such an incredible complete flip! ! With this in mind, I thought that I would mention that one version of the single woman in the church is the woman who married a non-member. You know, the woman who really believed all those faith-promoting stories on conversion would happen to her. They have not.
And
they
now
may
I've got to
not.
get divorced.
She is no longer the unattached sister. Her hardcore non-believer is very real and loving, but not capital golden question material after all. So let's look that up for repenting. Golden question. What does that mean?
Sounds made up. Well, like the religion, but go on.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's make-believe. Where was I? So golden question is a type of man that you want to marry is what I'm getting from this.
Is he questioning the golden rule, or...
He seems very real and loving, but not golden question material.
Got a golden cock.
He doesn't have that. Oh, God. She's alone, sitting, sensitive, weeping on the inside, in quotation marks. Never wanting to give up hope, never seeing it either. It can be psychologically devastating to realize that you are now numbered among the inactive. Mm-hmm. You are still somebody's ward project. You are drowning the percentages in all of the books. No, sorry, I read that wrong. You are downing the percentages in all the books. That's something that people think about.
She's not paying tithing. They're not getting that money in.
Still, you have a testimony. You certainly think about the church all the time.
Clearly.
If you've ever practiced love, charity, humility, and studied the gospel in your home, it has been these married years alone. It's very dramatic. All right, that's enough of that for today.
I love it. I know that I can... I've never been married, but I've been engaged twice. So I feel like someone wanted to marry me at least 2 times, so that makes me worthy-esque.
I've never been engaged or married, but I have had sex before, so that means somebody wanted to fuck me.
Sinner.
Which means I was attractive in somebody's eyes once, so that makes me worthwhile?
So long as somebody wanted to fuck you at least once.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of what I'm getting from the book.
I mean, but not just fuck you. I mean, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free, right? So...
Why buy the cow if you can get the sex for free? Mall rats and end scene.
Right.
That's a horrifying way to live your life, and I feel like I'm traumatized because of it.
All I can say is if I had married the guy I went to high school with and lost my virginity to, I would want to punch myself in the fucking face.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Right? Like, oh, I lost my virginity to this person, so therefore it's the only person I will have sex with for the rest of my life.
Oh, hell no.
No.
I don't even want to tell you where I'd be right now. I'd be right back in Logan.
But I do want to point out that I was talking to one of my clients about our podcast, and because we were making fun of the Mormons a little bit, and I wasn't talking to her about, we were talking about Mormons and whatnot, and she said, well, I have a lot of friends who are Mormons, and she's like, the hypocrisy is insane. She's like, I went because one of the kids was doing their, it's not communion because that's a Catholic thing, but it wasn't a baptism either. Like they were getting ready for the baptism or something like that. But it sounded like sacrament essentially. They had the bread, they had the water, and all that stuff. But they had talked her into going like it was part of his baptism thing that guests could go to try and talk them into coming into church, right?
Got it.
So she's like, yeah, everybody's on their cell phones. Nobody's listening to like to the sermons or whatever, and you just hear all of these cans popping open of Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke. And it's just like, she's like, I thought they weren't allowed to have like, it's like, well, it's not caffeinated, it's not brewed, so I guess it's fine. But she's just like, oh God, it was just mortifying. She's like, and then actually my friend got divorced from her husband because he was fucking around with her best friend who's also a Mormon. So it's just like, oh, that's not what I think of when I think of fucking Mormons.
No,
but I was
not
like,
at all.
I love it.
Are these California Mormons? Maybe they're different than Utah Mormons.
They're a little bit more hypocritical.
Mm-hmm. A little more secular, maybe.
This is what you leave when you leave the motherland. You're living the danger life. Danger life?
I don't know if this really fits in, but I'm going to just throw it in anyway because it's a funny story, but it's not enough to be its own story. When my dad's been married a couple times. Our dad's been married a couple times, and one of the people that he married, I won't say which one, she was married before. And the reason that she divorced her husband, they were both, upstanding Mormon citizens. The reason she divorced her husband was because she came home and found that he was drying out all the plants in the oven. She had no idea that she had been watering and nurturing and loving marijuana plants. She came home and she's like, honey, why are you cooking our plants?
Oh, it's for a wreath that I'm making later for Jesus.
I love that story.
I've kind of heard that story, but like, it never gets old.
Right. Like, honey, why are you cooking our plants? You can just imagine the sweater over the shoulders, right. The long skirt down past the knees. Oh,
God. Yeah, so that was the other thing that was triggering for me watching this, was just like, Because, I don't know, I remember wearing a bikini once. Like, Mom gave me a bikini for the summer, and we were at, like, the municipal pool or whatever, and Terry was just, like, mortified. And I think, because, like, that's not what it wasn't even that I was wearing a bathing suit. So maybe it wasn't even a bikini. I think this was just a one piece. But that I had just pulled my shirt up over my bathing suit to get into the water, because you would take your shirt off to get in the water. But I should have gone into the bathroom to take my shirt off. It was very strange.
Yeah, that seems like some Utah shit.
Yeah, total 100%. Like, sorry, take a drink. But yeah, so there's little memories that are just like random. Like, God, am I making that up? No, that was totally a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Oh no. But yeah, so the dress, we weren't forced to dress exactly this way, but you want the collar up past the neck, sleeves down over the wrists.
Well, that's the old way. That's like
right.
Super old Mormon way. Like in modern time, your garments only came down to right above your elbow and right above your knee. So like your clothing you could have long shorts as long as your garments wouldn't show.
Right. So like
it could be above the knee.
To be above the knee, but just barely.
Yeah. You can have it above the elbow.
Right.
But it didn't have to go all the way to your wrists and your neck.
Well, I'm just the fundamental Mormons.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm not saying, but there are some people who you have variations.
Oh, are you talking about Big Love?
Yeah, I was saying watching that.
Oh, I see.
Gave me some triggers of being like, oh my God, because not everybody. There's plenty of people who would wear. They're not going to wear. They're not going to show their porn shoulders, right? So it's not like a tank top or anything. Or if they would, they wear a t-shirt underneath of it,
yes,
right?
Right.
But like. So I'm just saying all of that dress was very like, oh my God.
Got it.
Right.
I missed the segue back into Big Love.
Oh yeah, no. I'm going to be talking about Bill Paxton and Big Love for about 5 more hours. Yeah. You guys have time, right?
It's real great.
But yeah, it's just, there's so much about that show. I just finished season 1, so I can't wait to go watch some more. But
yeah.
But yeah, the sayings, the dress, and then just, oh golly, which just sounds made up, but it's so true. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the California Mormons are very different from Utah Mormons because they would get made fun of here. I would make fun of them.
And you are making fun of them right now.
It's what I do.
Hey, is there anything cool happening on Twitter?
I tried to look right before I got here. We started recording, whatever.
Before I got here to my backyard where I'm sitting drinking a glass of wine.
I did see that the House GOP voted 407 to 16 to pass the Allies Act to help Afghans who face retribution for aiding our troops. The 16 nays were all Republicans, GOP.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, did you see that video of them recently? It was last week, and I posted it on our social media, but it was, they landed down in California sometime was it this week or last week? It was just let's say within 5 days or so. They landed in California. I'm not sure exactly where. It was very possibly Huntington Beach, which pleases my soul because, I work with those people. I work in that community. But so they touched down and they're getting ready to do their whatever the fuck rally that they're doing to just exploit conservative values for press like they all do. And they're on the beach and they've got their camera crews around them. And some dude runs up from the beach and he's got like a American flag shirt, American flag board shorts, a big American flag top hat. Like he's decked out in the fucking costume of the GOP. And he runs up to them and he puts his arm around Matt Gaetz, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is just smiling. And he's like, oh my God, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming to California. We really need you here. And, you're just kind of watching it like that's more of this fucking jerk off bullshit. Right. And then he's got, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's smiling and clapping and motioning for the reporters to come and make sure they get a good photo op, and they're all getting together on the sand, and he's got his arm around Matt Gaetz, and he's like, everybody keeps saying you're a pedophile, but I don't think you're a pedophile. Do you guys think this guy's a pedophile? I mean, everybody says he's a pedophile. And he said pedophile at least 6 times, and she's still smiling, arms around, has no idea before she and he's Matt Gaetz is getting it, and he's trying to get away. Himself. Yeah, and she's just la la la, we're taking a picture.
Right.
It was just like it was like troll level 3000.
That is fucking amazing.
It was so good. So that's why I was like, please, 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 God, be Huntington Beach. But it was somewhere in like the LA County, Orange County beach community area. And I was just like, God bless my state.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes. I love it. How that man isn't in jail for fucking child trafficking is beyond me. It's because he's a fucking senator. What the fuck is he anyways?
No.
He's a piece of shit. Cheers.
Cheers to Matt Gaetz being a piece of shit. I read another thing that somebody had tweeted kind of in context to that, where it was like, stop using these words. Like, and it reminded me of Matt Gaetz, because it was a lot of like, Matt Gaetz and an underage woman.
Right.
It's like, by underage woman, you mean child.
Right.
Right? There's no such thing as an underage woman. Either you're a woman or you're a child.
Right.
So there was that, and it's like, stop calling it unconsensual sex. It's fucking rape.
Right.
You know what I mean? Stop making up words to make your shit sound
less rapey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Fuck you, Matt Gaetz. If you're listening to this podcast,
You're a piece of shit.
and you deserve to fucking die.
Right?
Well,
Or at least
maybe
go to
not
jail.
die.
You
But
need to go to jail and be raped by somebody else. Just saying.
Maybe they'll pay you for it, so it's a fair playing ground.
You know what? You deserve to be paid in cigarettes.
Via Venmo. Oh, you know what else is happening?
Huh.
So you know how passionate we've all and our whole circle of friends has been since the beginning about the West Memphis 3 case, right?
Yeah.
So in case you're unaware, you've been living under a rock since 1993. Back in 1993 in West Memphis, Arkansas, these 3 kids who were at the time they were 16, 15 years old.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They were accused of murdering these 3 boys, and these 3
Not just murder, but like rape. Like, it was awful. Like, what happened to these 3 little boys was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, these 3 young men. No, I'm just kidding. They were fucking children.
Yeah, they were like 8 years old, 7 years old,
Right.
these 3 boys that were murdered. And all the blood was drained from their bodies. They were mutilated. Their genitals were mutilated. They were bitten.
Right.
It was all kinds of fucked up shit that had happened to them. And they took these 3 kids, these 3 teenagers, and basically one of them, they coerced into providing a false testimony.
He wasn't
implicating
very bright. Like,
Yeah.
his IQ was very low. And they pretty much said, if you admit to this, you can go home. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how they were able to convict them in the first place without having any evidence or anything like that.
Right.
Anyways, these poor kids, and there's actually a documentary about it called Paradise Lost, which is was pretty popular, and that's how I ended up even learning about it way back in the day. So if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking it out.
And there's a book called The Devil's Knot, right?
Yeah. But so essentially these kids were like misfits. They were just like
They
us.
Metallica. They
Yeah.
wore trench coats.
They dyed their hair black.
Right, like we all did in high school.
Exactly.
Only we didn't live in fucking Arkansas.
Yeah. And they got, the police coerced this kid into confessing to something he didn't do, and all 3 of those kids went to jail and were convicted. Damien Eccles, who was kind of like branded as the ringleader because he was, the oldest.
Right, and he showed no remorse or not even compassion, but he wasn't cocky. It's just he was very maybe arrogant on the stand, which to his credit was because he's like, I knew I didn't do this, so there's no way they could have convicted me for it. I didn't do it. Yet he got convicted for it. And he's like, what the fuck just happened? Because of course he doesn't show remorse. He didn't do it. And, he's just like, how can you convict me of something I didn't do? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So basically he was convicted of the death penalty. He got the death penalty, and the other 2 got life in prison. And then, there's all these like social justice advocates, all these people, especially after that documentary.
Right.
You've heard us mention the band Alkaline Trio that we love so much. They had free the West Memphis 3 spray painted on their stacks
Eddie
for
Vedder
every
was-
show
yeah.
I've ever been to for them,
I say Eddie Vedder was really involved. He was actually in court with them at one of the times for their retrial. Not retrial, sorry. That would probably get them off. But for their kind of whatever their newest trial was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was a lot of publicity around it. It was real obvious that they didn't do it. And then if you watch the documentary, I know that you can shoot a documentary to make it look like whatever you want to look like, so it doesn't replace a court of law, but it really looked suspiciously like one of the little boy's father had done it.
Stepfather, right?
Stepfather, yeah. The Byers kid.
Mm-hmm.
His stepfather had done it, and like to the point where they were trying to get bite mark evidence, and he had all his teeth removed when he found that out, kind of shit. So, anyways, it's a whole fucked up case, and you know,
these guys, 20 years. Damien Echols was on death row for 20 years.
Yeah.
These guys were in prison for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they lost their entire childhood. You know, I mean, teenage, but, you know, like their young adult lives were completely fucking ruined.
Right. And so they were all released about 10 years ago in a very kind of, it would have been a very hush-hush kind of thing, except for there was so much media attention around them that, like, a lot of publications brought light to it. But so the reason that they're in Twitter today, or in the news today, actually this came out 2 weeks ago, was basically...
So when they got released, too, it wasn't that they were found innocent, but they were... Like, how do you explain how they got released? Because it was like, you have to still say you're guilty, but we'll let you leave.
Basically. So even though they have maintained their innocence, they said they didn't murder the 3 kids. They're technically still convicted killers because they have those convictions on them.
Right.
And so Damien Echols has attorneys who want to use this new DNA test. It's like a wet... some kind of like a wet vacuum MVAC test where it's way more reliable. You get like 200% more viable DNA off of a specimen than you would have back in the old days. And back when they were convicted, you didn't even have really DNA evidence.
No,
you know what I mean?
You could do like you couldn't run the test things, but you could be like, oh, it's type A or type B or whatever.
Yeah. So now they've got this new DNA stuff, and they're like, no, we want it to exonerate these guys. Like, they didn't do anything. We want to prove once and for all that they didn't do this. Guess what? All that evidence is gone.
What?
Right? That's exactly what everybody's saying. So, like, what do you mean the evidence is gone? And apparently, Damien Echols, his attorneys, got a letter from the custodian of records for the West Memphis Police Department saying some of the evidence ended up lost or misplaced, and some destroyed by fire. And a source said that the evidence was transferred to shipping containers where there was a fire in a shipping container, and some of the evidence was destroyed.
Fuck that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a police officer or somebody in government.
Exactly.
They fucked that.
They fucked up so bad.
God, it's so frustrating.
Right? I know, and when there's like a glimmer on the horizon of proving them innocent, they're like, oh no, fuck that. Like, they fucked this up so bad. However, I guess the one good thing, or the one good light at the end of the tunnel, would be that because the evidence is lost, even though they can't exonerate themselves, or their lawyers can't exonerate them, they have a pretty strong lawsuit
at least
against the state of Arkansas.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
So there is that. But still, I read that and I was just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
It's insane to me how somebody's life could be so completely flipped upside down and ruined and continue to just get shit on over and over again. Like, what?
When you're a kid. When you're 16 years
Arkansas.
old.
Like,
I thought we had it bad. Well, I mean, I thought I had it bad in Utah. No.
I had it pretty good. California rules.
Yeah, that was a little disheartening to read that, but I was like, fuck.
It was nice to catch a fucking break.
Well, at least they're not in prison anymore.
No, that's true. But again, it's so, like, people usually, and these guys clearly won't because they have enough support around them to keep them out of prison. But generally, people will get not forced back into prison, but, you know, they'll break some sort of probation or whatever, and they land right back in there, right? So it's just like, well, it's set up for failure for people who are released from prison finally, after serving their time, you know, doing, what's the word that they say, you've redeemed, no, you haven't redeemed yourself, but, you know, you paid your due or whatever.
Paid your debt to society.
Yeah, exactly. You paid your debt to society. But it's like, nah, just kidding. You smoked you littered by throwing your cigarette butt on the ground. Back to prison with you. You know, so it's just so easy to land back in there that you become institutionalized. So it's just, I don't know. I'm so happy that none of them landed back in there. So, well,
there's been so much publicity and so much spotlight on their case that they have an edge. Right. Just think about the thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that don't have that. you know,
Mm-hmm.
that are just stuck in this fucked up system. Anyway, let's take a break.
All right.
We don't need to talk about Jeff Bezos and his cock rocket.
Oh, God, that guy's such a fucking douchebag.
That's better explained on the internet in memes anyway.
I was going to say, I showed you that thing. I'm going to go save it. I was like, does he know that people hate him? It was just a picture of him with his bald ass head, but somehow still, like, you can see he's got a bald ass head with a cowboy hat on, but, like, he's just super bald cowboy hat. And you're just like, yeah, people fucking hate you, Jeff Bezos. Go to hell.
My favorite is the one that's like got a picture of his ex-wife and a picture of him, and obviously she's looking like super cute and hot, and he's just looking like a creepy old dude. And it's like, it's hard to imagine a better outcome for a divorce than you getting $50 billion and your ex being blasted off the planet into space.
Yes. So that's the shit.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's hear what our corporate sponsorships are trying to sell us this week, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
Hey-yo. Rude. Just rocking out to some Prince in my brain.
Hey, do you want to hear a funny story?
Probably.
Well, I hope it's funny. I remember it being funny, and since we have been talking so much about Jesus-y Mormon shit lately, I thought maybe you would like to hear about the time that I went to church camp.
You gotta go to church camp?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I don't know what that is, but I've always wanted to go to, like I wanted to go to camp, like camp.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what I remember. It's not like Hot American Summer.
I was going to say, because I really like Wet Hot American Summer.
No, yeah, imagine Wet Hot American Summer, but with a bunch of church kids.
Ew.
Jesus kids. A bunch of our cousins. No, actually, most of our cousins are
I was going to say, the majority of our cousins are pretty cool.
Imagine our lame cousins.
Oh.
Multiplied by 100, all at camp, judging each other for not being Jesus-y enough.
Is it kind of like Saved?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Got it.
But with Mormons.
So it's a little more wholesome.
Yeah.
Somehow. No, you don't show your shoulders.
Okay, I can't remember exactly where the camp was, but it was somewhere up Logan Canyon, and I feel like it was at the same place we used to have the Boy Scout pancake breakfast. Do you remember that?
I do. Watching Big Love, they were talking about a pancake breakfast, and I was like, oh my god! I remember pancake breakfasts.
I was actually often the pancake flipper because I was so very good at it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was really fucking good at making pancakes.
And this is why you cook for me. Go on.
It was, it's somewhere right up, it's not the nunnery, but it was somewhere right up Logan Canyon.
Makes sense.
And it was like an established campground.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, because that's where we would go camp all the time.
Yeah, I just can't think of the name of it. So I'll have to repent for that, maybe
Casper's
listeners.
or something, Cedar Creeks or...
Yeah. If you can remember the name of that campground up Logan Canyon, let me know so I can repent for it, because I can't be bothered to look it up.
I'm calling Dad.
But let me tell you some of the things that I remember doing at church camp. I actually Googled what the hell goes on at LDS youth camp, just so I could see if it jarred my memory.
Right?
And it did not. But let me just read. I'm going to actually read you their version of what camp should be first before I tell you what we did. But it was, camp should be simple and allow young women time to experience God's creations and be still. Camp should not be elaborate or include staging, events, or decorations that distract from the purpose of camp. Also, avoid experiences in which the young women may mistake strong emotional feelings, such as sadness or surprise, for feeling the Spirit. Appropriate activities, wholesome fun, and genuine interactions will invite the Holy Ghost
into your vagina.
It is the responsibility of adult and youth leaders to carefully consider and anticipate every detail of camp and the needs and safety of the participant. As you plan, study and keep in mind the guidelines at, and then it gives you this link to the annual First Presidency Safety Letter and a general handbook of camp rules, which I clicked on. Doesn't exist.
Oh.
So, 404 not found.
Well, maybe, since you don't get your own planet anymore, they changed the rules.
Maybe. But what it does say on this landing page is, involve all the young women in the responsibilities and assignments of the camp. See this general handbook that doesn't exist. And as the young women have opportunities to serve, cook, clean, and organize, they will learn organizational and management skills that will continue to bless their families and the church. Make sure to apply the principles of spiritual preparation and Christ-like leadership and ministry in all stages of planning.
Unless it's their cursed time, then throw rocks at them.
Okay, so let me tell you what I remember doing in church camp. Okay?
But hold on, just real quick. They're prepping you for servitude to your husband, right?
Yes.
That's essentially what I'm getting from this.
Yes, that's what I got from the website. Honestly, what I got from church camp was arts and crafts. We did a lot of arts and crafts. We took kitchen sponges.
Okay.
And you cut them into shapes, like a shape of a heart or a shape of a star or whatever, and you dip them in paint.
Yep.
Well, I didn't think of a shape of a penis because I was too young. Now, of course, I would cut a sponge into the shape of a penis and put cock rockets all over everything. You would take
a great idea.
You would take like pieces of wood and tie them together with ribbons, and then take your sponge stamps and stamp paint onto them. So it's like 3 hearts. God bless this home. That
Live,
kind
laugh,
of stuff.
love.
Live, laugh, love. Exactly. I'm pretty sure that's what my first craft said. Live, laugh, love, and then Jesus underneath of it.
Jesus.
Okay, so we did a lot of that kind of shit. There was a lot of singing around campfires, for sure. Jesus songs, of course.
Of course.
And not Kumbaya, but like the Mormon Jesus songs.
God, I wish I knew some.
No, I can't remember them. I bet you.
All I can think of is Jesus Wants Me for a Son.
No, that's too little.
I didn't get past that in the church, so that's all I got.
Yeah, there's some other ones.
We should get a hymn book. Hey, listener, if you could find us a hymn book, that would be really great. Just send it to FHG Bad Mormon.
You can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm doing my hymn movements. This is a 1-2 beat. 1, 2, 1,
Is
2.
it an actual
Here's
thing?
a 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just thought they were just waving shit around.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're welcome.
Nobody can see that.
I know, except for you.
She did it poorly.
I did it perfectly, as I learned in fucking church camp.
I've never seen that before in my life.
Have you ever seen me sponge paint Live, Laugh, Love
she's making it up.
onto a wooden placard to hang on the wall? No, you haven't. Have you ever seen me shoot a rifle at a target shaped like a baby bunny?
Aww.
I know. I was actually a really good shot.
Were you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I learned how to shoot a gun. Was at church camp.
Nice.
Little 22s.
What's a 22 look like?
It's
a
like the
handgun?
babyest rifle. No, it's a rifle.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like the babyest kid rifle that you teach your kids
like a BB gun, but a real gun.
how to start using. But yeah, there's live ammunition in it.
Well, a BB gun is.
Oh, I thought you said baby gun.
Oh no, I said like a BB gun, but with gun. Like
no,
a real
no,
gun?
like a baby gun.
It's like a baby gun,
Like a starter gun for your child.
but you could kill someone with
Oh,
it.
well, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
cool. Because you
put
can't
it right
kill
up to
someone with a
their head.
BB gun. So I just want to be very clear on that.
Yeah. But
Okay,
yeah, I
cool.
was very traumatized by shooting at the lifelike rabbit targets.
God, you are a little baby vagina.
What's a bunny?
I forgot. That was an unfair towards women.
Yeah, and also, who kills baby bunnies?
I'm allergic to them, so...
So you'll shoot them with a 22?
Yeah, fuck those bunnies.
You're just trying to argue with me.
Yeah, I am. Or, fucking bunnies, man. Maybe I wouldn't shoot a real live bunny, but a fake bunny? Like, come on.
Well, it was a piece of paper taped to it. It's like,
Shoot
shooting
a
at the
real
shooting...
rabbit.
It's a piece of paper with a picture of a hand-drawn illustrated rabbit taped to a live rabbit. And that's when we lost all of our followers.
Ah, shit.
So that was church camp, pretty much in a nutshell. Oh, no, you know what the best thing for me that came out of church camp was actually learning I was a good shot and going on to learn how to shoot guns.
Nice.
Which, just for the record, I fucking love guns. I love shooting guns. They're super
Guns
fucking
are
fun.
Yeah.
And I will happily give up my right to have one if it means that, psychopaths can't go
I don't
fucking
think
on
it's so
murdering
much
shooting sprees.
Giving up your right to have a gun.
Of course it's not, but that's...
I don't mind waiting a few extra days to get a gun. I don't mind filling out a few extra pieces of paperwork to get a gun. And I don't mind having a background check to make sure that I should have a gun.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get into a gun debate. I'm just saying I actually had a whole sentence I was trying to say, but I can't remember the second part of it.
You're very good at guns.
I was very good at guns. I would give up my future of ever shooting a gun again if it meant that no more kids had to get murdered in school.
Fair.
And I learned how to tie knots.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I learned how to tie a slip knot. I want to say sheep knot, but I might be making that up. But all the knots had names, which I can't remember now.
Sheep knot.
Google it. I might have to repent for sheep knot, but I'm pretty sure there was one called sheep knot. But anyways, I learned how to tie a bunch of knots, which have been very useful for me throughout my whole entire life. And so it was kind of like there was kind of like the girl camp stuff and the boy camp stuff, and I was super into the boy camp stuff. Like we got pocket knives and
sheep knot tying.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, see? We got to use pocket knives. We got to learn how to tie knots. It was like survival kind of stuff.
That's fun.
And then there was like sponge painting hearts onto Live, Laugh, Love.
So it
on
wasn't
the other side of camp.
Here's how to get semen out of my husband's pants, or how to. I don't know what else you would do for your husband. Get shit stains out of his boxers, or I'm sorry, the garments.
Yeah. How to bake the perfect cherry pie to serve to your husband's missionary home teachers.
How to cook a vat of stew for 20, because that's how many children you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not quite there yet.
Okay.
You know what we did have to do, though? It wasn't in church camp, but it was in one of the church activities of the youth activities. I think it would have been in Young Women's. I forget the stages. There's like Mutual, Young Women's, the Laurels. They all have different names. But it was when we were like I was 12-ish. So whatever stage of church you're in at that, they would have this activity where we would go to our weekday activity at the church, where we would prop open the doors downstairs so that we could sneak in later and watch rated R movies and shit. So we're doing our legit church activities, and one of them was going around to all the doors of the classrooms in the church, knocking on them, and pretending we were missionaries and having to explain why we needed to convert them to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Exactly.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And then you would have a teacher on the other side who'd be like, well, I don't want to do it. And we'd have to try to convince them.
But I'll go to hell if you don't. Please convert. Let me baptize you right now. That's fucking weird. I was gonna say, I can't think of much of a story, but I was like, I've probably told the story, and I don't know whether I should tell the story or not, of like going fishing with Dad and his buddies being like, Randy, you want a beer? Or I might have already told that story.
I don't think we've told that story.
And it's not a long story. It's just okay. So.
Tell it. Tell the people what they want to hear.
Well, now where do I come in? Because you're not going to use all that.
I'm going to say
Mosquito
Lake Road. Those people out there in the county in Washington State love their guns.
Fair. I like guns.
Do you have any stories to tell?
Not really so much as just a little snippet, but because I'm trying to think of like, what kind of camp stories do I have? And I'm like, we've got plenty of like camping stories with Dad, but like they're pretty wholesome, ghost stories, whatever. A lot of s'mores and delicious stews. Mm-hmm. But when I think of going and visiting Dad, I think of going fishing, and we go fishing every time I come visit him, which kind of sucks because I'd only go see him in the summertime, and fishing is horrible in the summer, right? Like if you go like one of the lakes that's like filled with trout, you're gonna get some, but like for the most part, fishing is pretty shitty because it's the off season. But I'm going on a fishing trip with not just Dad this time. I'm going with his buddies, which is weird because I don't know, it's just usually the family and other people, but. So it's pretty early. I'm sleeping in the cab. We finally get up to Idaho or wherever it is that we're going, and we meet up with these people. And we spend the day, watching our fishing poles, eating our sandwiches. And it's probably like around 11-ish, maybe. And one of the guys is like, hey, Rander, want a beer? And he looks at him with just the sharpest eyes of, I don't drink.
Was it Dawn? His
It
friend
had to have
Don.
been Don. Honestly, I can't remember what any of them looked like. But I don't. It had to have been. I don't know. But I literally, I don't know. But he's like, and he's just like, I don't. But they had the beer in the. It wasn't like there was beer there, right?
Yeah.
Because I was 13 at this point, and I had already started drinking booze at this point in my life.
I wasn't there, was I?
No, I think it was just me, Dad, and his friends.
Okay.
So like, I mean, that's the way I remember it. Could be wrong, but he's like, oh, you know. Because I let all his friends call him Rander. Hey, Rander, you want a beer? He's like, I don't drink. And just the most, like, asshole. My daughter is here. I don't drink. and I'm kind of looking at him and laughing. And then he's like, oh, hey, Charlotte, you want a beer? And I'm thinking, I don't drink. Give me that beer. But it made me laugh. Because it's just like, of course Dad drinks. Like, I mean... I don't think Dad drinks to excess, and I don't think he drinks on a regular basis. But I think 100% the dude has a beer on a lake,
The river.
fishing with his friends, right?
Have I ever told you the story about me and Tammy going fishing with him?
No,
I think it might have been Tiffany as well, but definitely me and Tammy went, and we were in the. So you're going fishing. It was one of those things where you go on the Snake River. So it's like you drive the truck to point A. And then somebody takes your truck.
Love it, yes.
Goes down to point B and then meets you
thing.
a couple days later, right? Then you camp on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like 4:00 in the morning. It was dark as fuck. And we got out, we had already had all of our shit together to go camping and fishing. And it's Dad's driving this truck that's like a 2-person cab. And so me and Tammy are in our sleeping bags in the back of the truck. Under a tarp,
yeah.
Like sleeping.
You had a tarp over you?
Yeah, we had a tarp or a blanket or something over us in the back because it was cold.
Well, absolutely, but I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah,
yeah.
But we're in our, we're bundled up. We're in our sleeping bags and stuff.
It's cold. 4 a.m.
Utah.
Yeah, fuck that.
And so we're back there, and we're, driving to wherever. We stop to get gas, and so it's Dad and his friend Don are in the front. And they get out, and Dad's pumping gas or whatever. So we can't see them. We can just hear them because we're in the back of the truck. And Don was like, hey, Rander, you want me to get you some beer? That's why when you said that, I was like, wait a minute. Was I there this time? And Dad's just like, that's not funny. I don't want any beer, And me and Tammy just looked at each other, and Tammy mouthed at me. She mouthed the words, what the fuck? And I was like, holy shit. Because we were like, I don't know, 21-ish or whatever. And
was Don Mormon?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think maybe they're just fucking with each other and there wasn't actually any beer? Because to be fair, I don't know if I actually saw beer. I just think that I did, maybe.
No. There was beer. Because when we got to the point where we were fishing, so like the first day we were fishing, they had these cool, so they had gone in on this fishing boat together. And then they had these cool little, like, almost like pool floaty things, like donuts, but it had a place for your beer, it had a place for your fishing pole, like you sat in it and you floated and fished on your tube next to the boat in the river or whatever. And so there was definitely, and then there was like a floating cooler and stuff like that was like tied to the boat. So there was definitely beers and stuff happening in the boat because there was like, I don't know, Dad and 4 or 5 friends, and then me and Tammy and probably, I think Tiffany as well. Okay. Because I seem to remember there was some fly fishing happening and Tiffany was really good at it. I might be mixing up the trips, but... Right. So then we did our camping trip. We camped. There was like these cool little sort of islands almost in the middle of the river because the Snake River gets pretty wide. Right. And so we camped on those, and then we did our fishing trip the next day, and then, got to the cars and then drove home. But yeah, when you said that story, I was just like, I have a very similar story.
Fucking done. That guy was rad.
I've never seen my father drink a beer.
No, never. Never once.
As children, we found one of his old yearbooks.
That was what I was going to say. I was like, but I did find a yearbook once.
It was like all of us, Casey, Tiffany.
Yeah, we were all hanging out in Dad's bedroom, I think, watching an Andy Griffith show or something. But we're just piled in there and flipping through his yearbook. Like, Dad had the most amazing picture of him with these nerdy ass glasses. Bow tie. He looked fucking rad. To the point where when we all worked at the co-op, you could make any name tag you wanted with a picture just so long as your name was on it somewhere. And we all had that picture of our dad.
Yeah, it was very 50s.
Yeah.
Like the first iteration of the Beach Boys or Jan and Dean.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly, 100%
yeah. 100% Buddy Holly vibe. So good. But yeah, in the back of it, it was just saying, Rander. had a really great time drinking beer with you at the lake. We should do it again this summer. Shit like that, but a lot of it was in there. And I was like, Dad, were you drinking beer at the lake? Because I was also like 14 or some shit like that. Like, I don't drink beer. You know, because my dad's very like, I don't do that. I'm a very good Mormon. Like, and I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
I have to think that he drinks beer with his friends.
There's too many coincidences now.
Like, does Dad take a shot of tequila? Absolutely not.
But does he drink a Coors Light on the river fishing with his buddies?
In a 4-hour period? Maybe.
Actually, probably 3 sips of one.
Right. And he pours it out while his friends aren't looking.
Utah.
Dad's rad. I was going to say, as far as fly fishing goes, there was one trip. It was me, Tiffany, and Laurie and Dad. And we were going through. And it was funny because we were probably more like 18, 19 at this point. And all I was thinking, like, we were fly fishing, and it's hard, but it's not that hard. And I was okay at it, but nobody was catching anything. And there was one point where I gave up on fishing, and I was just laying with, my hand in the water, laying on the raft as we're floating by. And I'm like, God, this would be perfect with cocktails. And it's just like, Dad's ruining everything by being Mormon. But my point is that nobody caught anything on that trip. But while we were camping, so same thing, you find that island, we were going camping. Dad made this delicious stew with potatoes, chicken, celery, carrots. The stew that he makes when we go camping.
Hobo stew.
Yeah, hobo stew is so good. But then I was like, Dad, I really want to like catch a fish. I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go try the stupid fly fishing again. He's like, okay, I'll come with you. So Tiffany and Laura were hanging out by camp, and then we're both fly fishing, and we're trying to figure it out. Sure shit, I catch something. I'm like, oh, I got it. I got something. I'm the only one that got something on this trip. You guys are losers, and I'm the fucking best. Or whatever. And I get it in, and it's a brown bass, and I've never caught. It's always trout. I always catch trout. But I was like, oh, what kind of fish is this or whatever? And he's like, okay, well, now you got to kill it. And I'm like, well, no. You're my dad. You get to kill it. And he's like, no, you hit its head on the rock until it's dead, and then you got it. And I'm like, but I don't want to. And I swear to God, I don't think I was outwardly crying. I was very much inwardly crying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. As I'm smacking this fucking fish's head on a rock, and I was like, I don't like it. And I am notorious for catching all the fish because I'm a fucking amazing fisherman, but I hate fish, so I don't eat any of them.
You just kill them and let their bodies rot.
Well, somebody's gonna eat them, but it's not gonna be me. Maybe I just didn't like the way they were prepared. I don't know. But anyway, so I felt connected to this poor fucking fish. And I'm like, because I never had to kill him before either. I'd just be like, I caught a fish. Thanks, Dad. Give it off to him, and then he'd go kill it, gut it, and whatever, then put it in the water to try and keep it fresh. But this one, the sun was going down, and I was feeling real fucking bad. And so he saw that I was not okay. So he didn't make me gut it, at least. But then he's like, all right, let's bring it back up to camp, whatever. And so we put it on. I was like, well, I have to take at least a bite of it since I murdered it. It was the most delicious fish I have ever put in my mouth. I mean, it was literally just the freshest of fresh fish. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I've never gone fishing since.
Yeah, he made me do that too. I had to bash a fish's head on the rock.
I don't like it.
I couldn't even take the hook out of the fish's mouth. And he made me bash the fish. Yeah, I didn't fish after that either.
The thing is, I love fishing.
Turns out I'm not cut out for fishing.
Yeah, if I thought that I could, like, catch and release, maybe I'd be more into it. But even then, you still gotta get the fucking hook out of it, or you're never gonna get it on board to be able to release it. And then what if they eat the whole worm, and then they're done for after that. That hook lives inside of them, and it's just like, sorry.
Well, just to close this circle out, let's also remember that you need a license to go fishing. Don't pull a Mandi and just think you can throw a line in the water and get an $85 fishing ticket from the park ranger. No, Utah, first dam.
Really?
Yeah, I was with my friend James, friend of the podcast.
Hey, patron.
Not patron James. James from my high school friend.
I did know that you needed a fishing license, but...
Yeah, it's probably more than an $85 ticket now. That was 20 years ago.
But I also would not put it past me to go fishing without a license at first dam because you're not going to catch anything.
Right. It's just more of the act of hanging out and
having a fishing pole in there while you're eating and hoping maybe you'll see that line go taut.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much a very wholesome podcast. Well done, us.
We didn't get drunk or do drugs or suck any dick on that podcast.
Dad, I please, God, don't be listening to this. I would never do that. I'm a nice girl.
You know what I would do? I would head on over to Apple Podcasts and give Family Home Evening with Bad Mormons a 5-star rating and a review.
Or give us a 1-star, but you better not leave the actual review part of it because we got to talk about it later.
Yeah, we don't need any anonymous 1-stars. We've already got one of those. Thanks, our cousin.
Right, the prophet.
If you haven't checked out our website... We gave it a little makeover with our new web store that we launched for our new merch. So go ahead and check that out, FHEBadmormons.com.
So awesome. You did real good, Manders.
Thanks.
That's your name now.
Okay. If you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, you can join for as little as $3.
And as much as infinity.
You can give us 10% of your paycheck just like you give to the Mormon church.
We're way more worth it.
Yeah. Isn't this more fun than hanging out in sacrament meeting?
Yes. I don't have to eat Wonder Bread and water. Fantastic.
We're on all the social medias.
Twitter.
Pinterest.
YouTube.
MySpace. Velveeta.
Rattlesnake.
And lastly, we are always looking to make a little extra cash on the side. And you know how you can help us do that? Go ahead and hit subscribe and like on our YouTube channel.
Share with your friends.
We only need a few more subscribers, like 900-ish. Head on over to the old Instagram. Give us a follow if you haven't already. Someone shut that shit down at 666 Mark of the Beast.
Rad.
And don't forget to be excellent to each other.
Yeah.